Hello everyone. Today I will tell you a story. The story is titled, Tama and the Golden Evening Light. Please like and subscribe to my channel if you appreciate me. You can skip this if you don and oppose. Like this video. Thank you very much. The story begins as follows. Every evening, almost without fail, the same soft golden light would slowly spill into the living room. It came from the old street lamp outside the window, the kind that didn't shine too bright, but felt warm, like it was trying to comfort the whole neighborhood after a long day. And every evening, Tama noticed it before anyone else did. Tama was not a big dog. He wasn't particularly fast or loud either. He had a round little body, short legs, and ears that never quite stood up straight, no matter how alert he felt inside. His fur was a mix of warm brown and cream, slightly messy in places, especially around his neck where he loved being scratched. If you looked closely, you'd notice his eyes were always curious, as if he was constantly wondering about small things most humans forgot to notice. When the sun began to dip and the golden light crept across the floor, Tama would lift his head from wherever he was lying. Sometimes it was beside the sofa, sometimes near the doorway, sometimes right in the middle of the room where he absolutely should not be. His tail would wag slowly, not because he was excited, but because something felt right. This evening ritual had started without anyone realizing it. At first, Tama simply liked lying near the window because it was warm. But over time, it became more than that. The golden light felt different from the bright daylight or the cold white light of the ceiling lamp. It moved slowly, stretching across the floor like a lazy cat, stopping just long enough to invite Tama to sit inside it. You often came home tired in the evenings. Your steps were heavier then, your shoulders slightly slumped, your mind still full of unfinished tasks and quiet worries. Tama always heard you before you reached the door. He knew the sound of your footsteps better than any alarm clock. Still, he waited. He waited until the door opened, until your bag dropped onto the floor, until you sighed that familiar tired sigh. Only then would Tama stand up and walk toward you, passing through the golden light on his way. Sometimes his fur glowed for a second, like he had borrowed a bit of sunlight to carry with him. You'd smile without realizing it. "How was your day, Tama?" you'd ask, even though you knew he wouldn't answer. But Tama answered in his own way. He leaned against your leg. He looked up at you with eyes that said, "You're home now. That's enough." In those moments, the room felt quieter. Not silent, but softer. The world outside still rushed, cars still passed, phones still buzzed. Yet inside, with Tama and the golden evening light, time slowed just a little. Tama didn't know what work was. He didn't understand deadlines or responsibilities. But he understood something else very clearly. Evenings were meant for returning. Returning home. Returning to each other. Returning to calm. And so, night after night, Tama sat in the golden light, waiting, not just for warmth, but for you. As days passed, the golden evening light became a silent witness to many small moments. These moments were not dramatic. They didn't look important. But they were the kind of moments that quietly built a life. Some evenings, you cooked while Tama lay on the floor nearby, his chin resting on his paws. The smell of food filled the room, and Tama's ears twitched every time something sizzled in the pan. He didn't beg. He just watched, patient and hopeful, as if believing good things came more easily when you waited calmly. The golden light would stretch across the kitchen tiles, stopping just short of the stove. Tama always positioned himself so half his body was in the light and half wasn't, as if he wanted to stay warm but also keep an eye on you. You laughed once and said he looked like a perfectly toasted loaf of bread. Other evenings were quieter. You sat on the sofa, scrolling through your phone, your thoughts drifting far away. Tama climbed up beside you, turning around 3 times before settling down. He placed his head gently on your thigh, not demanding attention, just offering company. That was one of Tama's greatest gifts. He never asked you to be more than you were. If you were tired, he stayed still. If you were restless, he followed you from room to room. If you were happy, he shared it. If you were sad, he made it lighter just by being there. Once, after a particularly long day, you sat staring at the floor. You didn't speak. The golden light was thinner that evening, almost fading. Tama noticed. He nudged your hand with his nose, then placed one paw gently on your knee. His eyes met yours, steady and kind. You reached out and stroked his fur, slowly at first, then more firmly. Tama sighed, a deep, satisfied sigh that sounded like he was letting go of the entire day for both of you. In that moment, something shifted. The worries didn't disappear, but they loosened their grip. Your breathing slowed. The room felt warmer again. Tama didn't know he was helping you heal. He just knew that staying close felt right. Over time, you started noticing things because of Tama. You noticed how the evening light changed with the seasons. In summer, it stayed longer, brighter, stretching across the walls. In winter, it appeared briefly, shy and pale, before disappearing. Tama noticed too. He adjusted his routine accordingly, moving closer to the window on short days, soaking up every last bit of warmth. You also noticed how much Tama trusted you. He trusted that you would come home. He trusted that food would arrive. He trusted that the world, while sometimes noisy and confusing, was mostly safe as long as you were nearby. That trust changed you. You began putting your phone down more often in the evenings. You sat on the floor with Tama sometimes, just to be closer to him. You learned that happiness didn't always arrive in big events. Sometimes it arrived quietly, in the shape of a dog curled up in golden light. And Tama learned that evenings meant peace. That no matter how the day went, the light would return, and so would you. One evening, as you watched Tama sleeping peacefully in the golden light, you realized something important. Life had been teaching you lessons through the smallest moments, moments you might have missed if not for him. Tama never chased the future. He didn't worry about yesterday. He lived fully in the present, finding joy in warmth, closeness, and familiar routines. Through him, you learned that happiness doesn't require perfection. It requires attention. In today's fast-paced world, we often rush through our days, believing that fulfillment will come later, after success, after achievement, after everything falls into place. But Tama shows us another way. He reminds us that meaning can be found in consistency, kindness, and shared presence. A quiet evening, a gentle touch, a familiar face. These are not small things. They are life. Our relationship with animals teaches us responsibility, empathy, and patience. When we care for them, we also learn how to care for ourselves and others. Tama's trust encourages you to be more reliable. His calm invites you to slow down. His simple joy reminds you to notice the light already around you. So when life feels heavy, pause. Sit in your own golden light. Be present with those who offer quiet companionship. Like Tama, choose warmth, closeness, and kindness. In doing so, we build a world where humans and animals grow together, gentler, calmer, and more whole.